4 months old, or 3 months old, or 5 months, 6 months old, when I was given order. I've got marks on my arm, you know, yeah, I don't know, because of the level of consciousness. I didn't have the consciousness I have today. As a child, your consciousness is still growing. Likewise, animals, you know, do not have the level of consciousness we humans have. That's why pain in the real world doesn't actually mean anything to them. So when you slaughter them, okay, they don't know they're being slaughtered.
Yeah. I watched a lot of videos.
They do feel pain. I'm not saying they don't feel pain. Like a child cries.
I've seen a lot of videos of cows crying for their calves.
Yes.
And it's so sad.
I acknowledge that. Yeah.
So they do have, just because you can't understand.
Does a baby cry? Does a baby cry for mother?
Just because you don't understand their emotions, as a human being, we have a different way of thinking. It's the same way as that we could never understand what a dolphin thinks. But dolphins have a high capacity for intellect. They just communicate and think in a different way. So for me, we have a very, very different view on animal cruelty. For me, I don't believe animals are here to be eaten. Yeah, that's why I'm a vegetarian. I was a vegan. I'm going to become a vegan. And it's also intellectually my favourite.
But then you're eating vegetables. They also feel pain. You're also killing living beings there. If you cut a tree, if you cut crop, if you're eating cabbage, if you're eating tomatoes or potato or whatever, they also feel pain. You may not be aware of that pain. You may not be conscious of that pain. So if you can't eat meat, if you can't eat vegetables, then die. Then die because you're causing pain to all these living beings. Then you might as well die.
Can I just say the difference between a potato and a living being is that nearly all living beings, maybe a jellyfish has internal organs. It will at least have a heart and it will at least have a brain. Whether it's a small brain or a big brain. A potato does not have nothing within it. It's mainly water. Yeah, so you using that comparison is not the right comparison in my opinion, because eating a carrot is in no way the same.
Are you saying plants have no sense of consciousness? Is that what you're saying?
I cannot prove or disprove that.
Physical brain is not the issue here. The issue is consciousness. Yeah. The issue is consciousness. Okay. Plants, we know for a fact, plants have consciousness, right? For example, there's a plant, you touch it, it goes, it changes its position, its appearance, right? And there are many more examples I can give in that regard. My question is, or my point is that being vegan, just because you're causing pain to animals or you don't have the right to kill other beings for your food, then extend that to plants and habitation, or crops, or cabbage, or potato, or okra, or name it. There is such a vast variety of things.
I've heard the argument a lot, and I can't disprove it or prove it. I don't know what the consciousness of a potato or a crop is. One thing is, I don't want to talk about religion, but I have to say that it is part of my religious faith. Sikhs are supposed to be vegetarian. Also, we believe in reincarnation.
You think it's from Hinduism, this influence?
I'm not going to talk about that, but all I'm saying, I believe in reincarnation. So that in itself would mean that I am eating a living being.
But do you accept the fact that a lot of influences within the Sikh religion came from Hinduism?
I would accept it the same way that Judaism and Christianity influences.
Absolutely. So yes, I agree, 100%, because we believe
the truth is in everything.
But we believe
the truth.
No, in Hinduism we don't believe there is. For example, the Gurus rejected paganism. Yeah. The Gurus rejected polytheism because Guru Nanak Ji was a strict monotheist. Why was he a strict monotheist? Because according to whatever we know of him from history, he was mixing with Muslim mystics. He was a Sufi. Mardana was one of his companions, but Guru Nanak Ji had many other teachers.
He was a big
there are apocryphal or legends.
His biggest influence was Baba Farid.
Exactly. And Baba Farid was, Fariduddin Kanchakar was a Chishti. He was a Chishti Sufi who came to India, or he was in India in the 13th century, if I'm not mistaken, because he was one of the teachers of Nizamuddin Awliya, who is in Delhi. Okay, so these are Sufi preachers who were going around, and we come back to a point about conversion, mass conversion. What you don't realize is that mass conversion only took place in India in 2 provinces, 2 regions, the Bengal region and the Punjab region. There is no other mass conversion in India.
Let's not go into this topic. You know how he...
No, I'm just giving my view.
I'll start getting
I have given my sources already to that. If you go on that comment,
I feel myself twitching a bit.
I have posted extensive researches on that point, that there are scholars who have extensively conducted researches into this question as to why people converted in the hundreds of thousands to Islam, in particular in Bengal and in the Punjab region. Why?
Remember, look...
Because this is where the Sufi activity goes very...
In Punjab, there's a district called Faridkot. Yeah? And it's named after Baba Farid.
Yes.
There's a Gurdwara in there called Faridkot Gurdwara. And we have Gurdwara dedicated. We have times of the year when we honor it.
So how can the Sikhs, some Sikhs, I'm not saying all Sikhs, how can some Sikhs have this so much vendetta and so much hatred for Islam? When Islam,
Muslims. I love them. You guys
but then he has to show, then he has to come out. Like with us, look, it's not a secret anymore.
Yes.
Pakistan supported the Khalistan movement. Everyone knows that. Okay, even the Sikh leaders, you know, when they escaped from India in 1984, when Indira Gandhi decided to invade Akal Takht, you know, the Golden Temple, it was very unfortunate. It was a disaster. It was a catastrophe on a grand scale. It's like someone invading the Kaaba. Okay, for us Muslims, yeah. So a lot of the Sikh leaders, you know, when they escaped, where they went to Pakistan.
I know.
Okay, so Pakistan, the Muslims, despite all the history, they supported the Sikh cause. One may argue they did it for political reasons. They did it to destabilize India, which is a valid argument.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they did it.
Yeah.
They don't do it because they're looking for a Sikh homeland.
No, but then
if they really did, we should have had a united Punjab.
But Raj, today in Pakistan there are Sikhs. I have seen them myself in Peshawar. There are large communities, and you know what? A lot of people they come out and they say, oh, the minorities in Pakistan are very kind of persecuted. The Sikhs and the Hindus and the Christians. No, you're not saying that. There are people out there who are doing this bakwas. In particular,
videos of this armed guards around the Gurdwara. And it's protected.
Exactly. I'll tell you what happened to me. I went to the Gurdwara, the Mandi, you know, in Lahore, right next to the Lahore Shahi Killa. Maharaja Ranjit Singh made this Gurdwara. I went there. This is recently. I said, can I go inside and look? They said, no. There were Sikh guards there. They said, no, sorry, you can't go in. I said, why? They said, because security concerns. I said, no problem. I appreciate that. I understand that. I walked away. There are Sikh individuals in Pakistan. You know, there was an experiment done recently, a social experiment.
Oh, no,
you've seen it. That's Pakistan. And I bet you do that experiment in India, in some Hindu areas, with a Sikh or with a Muslim or with a Dalit, okay, you will not see people intervening.
Let me clarify.
That will not happen in India.
I do not support India either.
Yeah.
I'm against the Indian government.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're persecuting Sikhs. I'm not necessarily a Khalistani.
What about Muslims and Christians and Dalits? Do you feel for them as well?
Yeah, everyone's being persecuted under the BJP.
That's right.
We're under a constitution where Sikhs and Jains and Buddhists are just Hindus. We don't even have our own distinct religion. So we are being
I think that was changed.
It hasn't been changed. It's still on the books.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Because you know, Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala,
that was his proposal. It never was.
Yeah, because this is one of the reasons he was actually asking the government to recognize us as a separate religion, because we're not Hindus.
The BJP is a fascist.
Absolutely.
Fascist
party.
I'm massively against it because they're persecuting everybody.
Well, you know, a lot of people are asking these questions out there, in particular from me, that what Raj discussed about, you know, the Guru's sons being killed and Guru Tegh Bahadur being killed for not converting to Islam. How true are these stories? And I want to clarify that there is a Sikh tradition that gives out these stories. As far as the other traditions are concerned, these stories are non-existent. For example, the story about the Kashmiri Pandits, it cannot be found in any sources. Okay, it purely comes from Sikh tradition, which is highly questionable. Not because I'm a Muslim. Okay, historically speaking, being honest and straightforward about history, these traditions are highly questionable.
Can I respond?
In the authenticity.
I understand that history is not always 100% accurate.
It's not.
I'm not
a lot of the time it's hearsay and legend.
There will be distortions over time through people and biases.
Yes.
I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
Do I think their story was exactly how it's written? No, there's a little bit of kind of like what I call a little bit of salt put into it, and a little bit of extra added for maybe dramatic purposes. But there's no doubt that these people were executed. That's 110%.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Guru Tegh Bahadur
so
was executed, no doubt.
And the boys were executed.
And two of the sons, Guru Gobind Singh's sons, were killed in battle. They were killed in battle.
The 6 and 9-year-old.
Yeah, they were. Now those two, the details about them. You know, there's a story like today. You know this. Today is the 11th of Muharram.
It's
the Shia thing.
I like the Shias though as well. They're good guys.
I'll tell you something about. There is something similar between the Shias and the Sikhs. I'll tell you what that is. The Shia have built a lot of detail around the martyrdom of Hussein.
Yeah.
Hussein was killed in the year 61 of Islam in Iraq by the so-called Muslim governor of Kufa. There was a city called Kufa. Now, we know Hussein was killed, and he was killed in a brutal fashion. His family was decimated. There was only one male survivor. His name was Zainul Abidin, one of the younger sons of Hussein. Okay, he survived. He was the only male survivor. We know that, and we acknowledge that this happened. But the detail around it, that Hussein cried, the child cried, she said this, he said that, she cried like this, he waved his sword like that, he was sitting on the horse like that, then he descended from the horse. All this detail, as if someone was actually standing there with a sketchbook, drawing all this, or writing all these details, and he was able to go to every single person to take these details down. Likewise, the Sikh detail around the killing of the Guru's sons is so vast, it's so exhaustive and so detailed that it is impossible for it to be accurate. It is impossible. Like for example, I'll give you an example. We the Muslims, we have narratives about the Prophet. For example, our Prophet said X, Y, and Z. Okay? And these are anecdotes. These are literally, you know how we get the Prophet's history? It comes to us in patches. It's not like once upon a time, there was a Muhammad, he went around, he preached, he did that, he did... No, we don't get our history like that. Our history comes, so-and-so said so-and-so, so-and-so said such and such, and he narrates from such and such, and so-and-so, he narrates from so-and-so, and he narrates from the Prophet. So we have a chain of individuals, I'm finishing right now. We have a chain of this individuals, an uninterrupted chain, one generation narrating from an earlier generation and going back to the Prophet directly. And then what do they give us? They give us like a paragraph. At so-and-so place, this is what happened, and that's how we saw it, and period. It's not a narrative, it's anecdotal, right? So now,
I need to,
that's why we believe it's authentic. So I'm not a hypocrite to judge your history in one way and not judge my own in another.
But the thing is, let me say something. I agree with you, and I've said that history can be exaggerated, and it can be manipulated.
Yes.
But the overall end of the historical part that 2 boys were executed at 6 and 9 is fact. The fact that Guru Tegh Bahadur was executed for his religion was fact.
No.
How the process got there is up for discussion, and I believe it 100%. You don't. But the end result is the same. 2 boys who were 6 and 9 were bricked up alive, executed for not converting.
I don't believe that.
Well, that's up to you, but I believe it 100%. I believe it so much. In that book, I've done a drawing of it. And it's a very famous drawing. So I'm the wrong person to talk to because I've done like 30 C cards on a lot of the atrocities of Mughal India.
You feel alone about it.
That's how I learned about the history.
I agree.
Yeah?
I accept that you feel you're very sentimental about it. There is a story that is out there and you believe it. I have no problem with it.
It's not a story, it's an historical fact.
It's not a fact.
That's for you. That's what you said.
That those 2 boys are put in the wall alive is not a fact. I will never accept it. Why? Because I believe it doesn't come from trustworthy sources.
Did I die?
Right? Sorry?
Were there 2 dead bodies?
Okay. This is a question.
Just acknowledge one thing.
Okay.
Was there 2 dead bodies of the 2 boys?
Let's assume.
Because we know they were there. The dead bodies were there. How they got there and who did it is up for discussion. Let's just determine one thing. Were there 2 dead bodies of 2 boys, 6 and 9, Guru Gobind Singh, the last Guru's sons? Do you agree were there were 2 bodies?
The Sikh tradition...
Did they die? Because we know there was no descendants from them.
The Sikh tradition
we know they died at 6 and 9.
Okay.
So you agree that
the Sikh tradition tells us they were dead bodies and they were killed in this way, okay? I know. I saw them.
This is my drawing of it. You want to see it?
Yeah. Of those two boys.
Boys being bricked up. So I do a lot of artwork.
Okay.
So I'm probably
the
not the person to speak to you about saying it didn't happen, because I believe in it so strongly.
I'll give you an example.
That even if you gave me...
I'll give you a stronger example. Sikhs are very few in numbers, right, in comparison to Christians and Muslims, right? Yeah, exactly. Christianity, the entire religion, is based upon a notion that God was crucified on the cross and he rose on the third day. And every single Christian on the planet who professes belief in Christianity accepts that as there's a gospel truth. It is true to them. It is a fact. They cannot, put it aside, right? But historically, there is no way to establish that that's exactly what happened. I'll tell you why.
We could say the same thing about Islam.
Yes.
A lot of the narrations were done 200 years after, or put onto paper 200 years after.
True.
So if we want to go down the route,
let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the positive.
It's very positive. Raj, there are people learning from this.
On the internet, they're calling me the hate preacher, Tommy Robinson. I want to show a nice side of myself.
I agree, Raj.
If we start talking about things that are a little bit controversial, let's talk about what I agree with.
You're being respectful to me. I'm being respectful to you. We're not shouting and screaming. We're not talking over each other. This is positive, right? And when we discuss matters like this in a respectful fashion, I don't disrespect your religion. You don't disrespect my religion. This is what we call positivity. People should be able to see it out there, that people can have intelligent, decent discussions without throwing stones at each other.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, wait, we're finishing some point. One point.
Can I tell you what I find Can I tell you my issue with it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna just for argument's sake say that Muhammad is infallible.
Yeah.
Just for argument's sake, I don't believe he is. Sorry, Muslims, don't get triggered. Trigger warning on the
no problem.
Yeah? I don't think he's perfect, and I also think he may have been a prophet, because the Guru said he was a prophet.
Guru Nanak accepted him as a prophet.
So as a Sikh,
and if that's the case,
then I say he is, but I think he was corrupted.
No, but Guru Nanak said he was a true prophet.
Let me just explain.
Guru Nanak said he was a true prophet.
Let me say about the science of the Hadith, which I think is problematic.
If Guru Nanak,
you can answer me.
Wait, Raj, one question. If Guru Nanak Ji is telling the truth, then you have a problem.
No, I don't.
And if he's lying, then you still have a problem.
He criticizes
because if Guru is lying, then Guru is lying. Then he cannot be Guru if he's lying. Okay, wait. But if he's telling the truth, then Islam is true. Therefore, Sikhism is not true.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that there was truth in all religions, including Islam. It doesn't mean truth is not specific to you. Yeah? All religions has elements of truth in them. And so, even though he said that Islam, and you could be a Muslim, I believe as a Sikh that everybody can go to heaven. Everybody. Yeah? It's just a matter of whether you follow certain beliefs that I don't believe that are maybe not within the Quran. And the reason why I'm going to say I believe certain beliefs are man-made and certain beliefs may be from God is because the science of the Hadith, in my opinion, is flawed. And can I explain to you why I think it's flawed? Now,
when you say my opinion,
it's my opinion.
Okay. Have you read it extensively?
No, I'm just going to give you my opinion today.
Wait, Raj, if you have an opinion on something, having studied it, I will, with all my heart, all my mind, all my soul, accept your opinion as your opinion, and I'll respect it. But if you haven't studied a science, if, for example, if I came to the park and I said, in my opinion, the science of engineering or the science of astronomy is false, is flawed, is bakwas, is bullshit. If I said that, to use extreme words, right? What would you think of me? You would ask me the first question, what do you know about astronomy? What do you know about engineering? What do you know about these sciences? I would say, sorry, I haven't studied them. You'd say, you're a fool.
All right, let me say it. This is my opinion. Trigger warning on there, please. Have it like flashing.
But your opinion is ill-informed.
People get quite upset on the net. Yeah? So let's just calm down. Yeah? I always give a trigger warning whenever I'm going to say something controversial. Yeah? What it is this. My problem with the Hadiths, I read the Quran and I agree with a lot. Like I said, I agree with 70% of Islam. But I believe a lot of the corruption has come from the Hadiths, in my opinion. This is an opinion. The reason why I say that, even if I believe that Muhammad, because the Guru Nanak said he was a prophet, that he was infallible and perfect, which I don't believe he was perfect, but he might be.
We don't claim he was perfect.
No, but
Islam doesn't claim he was perfect.
Let me just carry on.
Perfect. Only Allah is perfect.
What I have an issue with is that when someone in a room, say Aisha, is talking to Muhammad, she's having a conversation with him. Is Aisha, is a human being and flawed?
Flawed? You mean flawed?
Well, everybody's flawed.
You mean fallible?
Yeah, fallible.
Yeah.
Can make mistakes.
Aisha can make mistakes,
so
yes.
when she's talking to Muhammad, Muhammad may have said something great and may have said something perfect from God.
Yes.
When she goes back to the third person and narrates it to him...
Guys, do you mind we move next to the grill because there's less noise there?
Question. I'm just curious. I don't know.
I'll give you a very short answer because we're in the middle of a discussion.
Yeah, of course. I understand that. No, just basically what you said about the Bible. You're saying about the Christians believe about Jesus rising after going on the cross.
Yes.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what it says in the Quran about that, because I know Jesus Christ is in the Quran.
Yes.
So I just wanted you to elaborate a little bit just on what they say about that certain instances.
The Quran says he was not killed, he was not crucified.
Okay.
Full stop, period.
Okay.
That's it.
Just wanted to
the Quran in chapter 4, verse 157 to 159, it clearly categorically states when the Israelites claimed that they killed him because the Jewish people at the time claimed that they were the ones responsible for his punishment as an impostor. As a liar, because they claimed he was a liar.
Okay, so
and the Quran says their claim that they killed him is a lie because he was not killed, he was not crucified.
Okay. So
period.
How do we distinguish which one?
That's now we're going into another discussion.
How do you distinguish which is the true story, whether the Christian?
Go and watch. There are hundreds of debates between myself and other people, and they've debated this topic. Did Jesus die on the cross? Yeah. Do that, please.
Right, so do we need to start the conversation? Shall we start from afresh?
No. We were discussing something about Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to make the case that, like I said, that
Aisha was.
No. What I'm saying is that, just for argument's sake, I don't believe Muhammad was perfect. But for argument's sake, let's say he was perfect and infallible for making mistakes. Now, my issue with the hadiths, and not necessarily the Quran, is that you have a situation where you have, say, like me and you in a room, and there's no third party. You may be, just say for argument's sake, I know, trigger warning, please. You're Muhammad, yeah? You're not. Yeah?
Let's assume Muhammad is there.
Yeah, just say he's there. Yeah. Aisha is having a conversation, with Muhammad. Yeah, Muhammad has given her some revelation from God, which is amazing. Yeah, she is. Do you agree that Aisha is? Before we go on, is Aisha fallible to make mistakes?
Yes.
So what would
Aisha can make mistakes.
So what would happen? If when Aisha leaves the room, she goes to a third person, and then she says that Muhammad says this. But she has made mistakes into interpretation.
Yes.
So the message originally may have been right, but the interpretation as it goes to the third person becomes corrupted.
That's a very good point.
That can go down a long chain of narrations.
Yes, that's a very good point you made. You see,
and not just with Aisha.
If Aisha was the only source of Islam,
or any of the caliphs or any of the...
That's a very good point you make now. This is why I asked you this question. Have you actually studied the science of hadith? Because when you do, you come to realize that some of the reports of the Prophet become so, how can I put it, so much multiply attested that they become impossible to be false or a lie. I'll give you an example. Let's say Aisha says something, and then another companion comes along. He confirms what Aisha said.
But he wasn't in the room though.
He wasn't in the room.
So how can he confirm
what he said? About what Aisha said, it's
still third person. This is a problem.
Right.
Unless he was physically in the room, he cannot 100% say. So, the Arabic language is very complicated and has multiple words and multiple meanings to particular words. All she has to do is to say one word wrong or she's a human being. Obviously, she's fallible. So the science of the hadith is very flawed.
No, it's not flawed.
Because from the beginning,
when you use the word flawed, you are sinking the ship just because you see you see the fault. Maybe the way you see it, you see the fault, maybe a scratch on the body of the ship. We should drown the ship. No, it doesn't work like that. The ship, the vessel, is still floating for the last 40 centuries. I'll explain how it works. Certain things Aisha said. You raised a very, very valid point. No doubt, it's an intelligent point. Certain things, because of that reason, because Aisha radiallahu anha, she was alone in having certain opinions, and other companions of the Prophet who had heard from the Prophet complimentary information which corrected Aisha, they rejected what Aisha said. For example, one of the views Aisha held was that giving milk to a child a certain amount of times, a certain number of times, that child becomes your mahram. Mahram is that you no longer have to cover yourself from him. He becomes your like a son, like foster son. Yeah. So how do we establish foster relationships with a child or with a person? Aisha had one view, and other companions, they didn't accept it. They said, no, sorry, Aisha is mistaken here.
Was Aisha lying?
No, of course they said she made a mistake. She had an error in judgment. When someone makes a mistake, if Raj makes a mistake, I'm not going to say Raj is a liar. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Raj made a mistake, right? So we have this mechanism in Hadith science. Okay, it's not as blind as Aisha said it. Allah, we bow.
Can I just ask something?
No, wait, let me finish very quickly. We have a system where the reports of the Prophet ﷺ are multiply attested. He had over 100,000 companions, and out of those 100,000, we know 10,000 by name. 10,000 of them, we know them by name. We know who they were, where they came from, what they did, and how long they lived. The last one to die died in 110. His name was Amir Abu Tufail. Okay, he died in 110, exactly a century after, nearly 99 years after the Prophet's death. When the Prophet was alive, he was nearly 10 years old, when the Prophet died. And he lived for nearly 109, 110 years old. Okay.
Can I ask you one question?
So we know exactly when they lived, what they preached, what they taught, and amazingly, when they preached something, like Abu Bakr would say, I heard Prophet saying this. Did anyone else hear this? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people would stand.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. All right. See the point? All right, do you understand how ridiculous?
Can I say something? Yeah. All right, let me just clarify. I am not going to contest that if there's 3 people in the room, that you can claim that source is reliable. What I'm trying to say to you, and I want a percentage from yourself that you might know, how many of the hadiths are just from one person with Muhammad alone? How many of them are that? How many in the percentage? Is it 10%? Because those hadiths then will be unreliable to a certain degree.
No, not necessarily.
Because unless you have a third person in the room, you're admitting that Aisha and anybody else apart from Prophet Muhammad is fallible. Yeah? So if they're fallible, they could make tiny mistakes, can't they? So if they were to then come out...
Which they did.
I know, but unless some...
Which they did.
So you agree they did. So even the ones that you can test...
But how do we know they made mistakes? How do we know they made
because
mistakes?
It contradicts the Quran.
No.
Or contradicts
no.
Well, that's what I was
because other companions came forward and they gave the remaining information. They said this is what was missing. So what we do is we have almost about 5,000 to 6,000 reports from the Prophet. Without repetitions. For example, if you pick up Bukhari, which is our tradition, which has chains. I'll give you an example. What do we mean by chains? Bukhari, you're right, wrote in the late or the early 3rd century, of Islam. Bukhari was writing at that time. And you were thinking, hold on a second, Bukhari is 2 centuries apart from the Prophet. How can he get this information, right? Very good point. Bukhari took this information from teachers who were taught by their teachers, and they were taught by their teachers, and they were taught directly by the Prophet. And this was public knowledge. People were taking this knowledge publicly, delivering it publicly, right? For example, Bukhari had a teacher called Abdullah bin Yusuf. Abdullah bin Yusuf taught Bukhari when he was in his 80s or 90s. He was a very old man, okay? Abdullah bin Yusuf took his knowledge from a man called Malik bin Anas. Malik bin Anas also lived a very long life. He was born in 93 or 94 Hijri and died in 179. So he lived nearly 80 plus, how much is that? 80 plus, 86 years old. Malik was taught by Nafi. Nafi was a teacher of Malik, and Nafi was taught by Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah bin Umar was taught directly by the Prophet. This is an uninterrupted chain. Well, let me finish, Raj, so that you explain. Okay, this is an uninterrupted chain of teachers who are teaching publicly, passing on the tradition. Okay, now this is one chain. One chain. Bukhari has hundreds. Okay, now there are chains where Bukhari has three people between him and the Prophet. Very quickly, I'm finishing now. Yeah, Bukhari had a teacher called Makki ibn Abi Ibrahim. Okay. Makki ibn Abi Ibrahim had a teacher called Yazid ibn Abi Ubaid. Okay, Yazid ibn Abi Ubaid had a teacher called Salma ibn al-Aqwa, who was a direct companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Prophet taught Salma ibn al-Aqwa. Salma ibn al-Aqwa taught Yazid ibn Abi Ubaid, and Yazid taught his student Makki ibn Abi Ibrahim, and Makki taught Bukhari. 3 people between Bukhari and Prophet Muhammad, and all 3 of them, they lived long lives, over 70 years old. So when you do the calculation, you come to realize actually historically they did live between this period, and if each one of them is 70 to 80 years old, can easily teach his student, and then his student, and then Bukhari. So historically, we have carried out meticulous research into these topics. We have delicately checked every single report, every single word of hadith literature has been turned upside down. And you know who the first people are to cast aside certain controversial reports, right? Because they cannot reach the level of certainty we require for our religion. Our own scholars, Muslim scholars.
I need to speak here.
If we apply that standard on the
we need a dialogue, not a monologue.
Oh, sorry.
So all right, I'm going to go back to the source here. You have one individual in a room with Muhammad, who is no third person. Yeah? The person that Muhammad is talking to, if you believe that Muhammad is perfect, then obviously you can say what Muhammad said was perfect. But if the person he's saying it to is imperfect and then leaves the room and then speaks to somebody else and mistranslates or misrepresents what he says, and I'm going to put another thing into it so you can kind of mix it up. Trigger warning again. I understand that Aisha had issues with one of the caliphs that was later on. There was a bit of kind of political intrigue
Ali.
within
She fought a battle with
so,
Ali.
is there, as a person,
And we believe Aisha was wrong.
As a fallible human being who might have had some distrust or hatred towards Ali, may her interpretations that Muhammad said then be kind of construed to suit her narrative?
She actually did not follow the Prophet in this. Prophet had specifically warned her.
So she lied? It sounds...
No. Look, if someone makes an error of judgment, doesn't make that person a liar. How simple is that, Raj? Is that difficult to understand?
Right,
if you make an error of judgment, am I saying, Raj, you're a liar, chuta kadab, in Punjabi? I use the Punjabi word as well.
How do you know that she wasn't purposely lying?
No. We have never believed that. We will never believe that. Aisha knew, because the Prophet, peace be upon him, anyone who professed belief in Prophet, and how do we know this person professes belief in the Prophet? Someone who was very diligent in his worship. Someone who prayed 5 times a day, did not compromise at all on faith. We know that person was actually truly following the Prophet of Islam. Aisha was one of them. We have no reasons to doubt Aisha's character, because Aisha was very diligent in her worship.
So why do Shias distrust their character?
Shias have a completely different tradition.
I'm not trying to cause
No, there's no division.
I like the Shia brothers, no division.
Okay. The Shias have a completely different view on Islamic history. That's why earlier when I said the Sikhs have, made up stories.
Let's not go to the Sikhs. Let's go back to the narration.
I'm giving you an example. This is a discussion, right? So I can say what I want. Sikhs have made up stories around the deaths of the 2 of the Guru's sons, right? The detail, how they spoke to their grandmother, how dignified they were. They refused. So wait. They refused to bow to the Mughal pressure. They did not convert to Islam. Okay, all of these details are impossible to ascertain. They are impossible to ascertain. Why? Because we do not have any independent. Even the Sikh tradition casts doubt on these stories. There are Sikh historians who say these stories, we can't really trust them.
And we went over this, and I said to you that I agree that distortion can happen over history, and that people can exaggerate things.
Just like that, the Shias, the Shias have carved so many stories around
about Aisha.
About Aisha generally. Aisha. Okay, now
because she has done a lot of narrations, and the Shias are saying that she is distrustful.
Okay,
so how do we know what she said when she was alone in the room with Muhammad? When she walked out, Muhammad could have been the greatest person in the world and talked from God directly and said what God said. We have no reason. But when Aisha got the message, she is a human being who's fallible, and some Shias say that she's actually insincere and maybe even dishonest. She may have walked out and then said something that Muhammad didn't say, and now that is a narration.
Nothing the Shias claim against the Sunnis is based upon what Aisha said.
I'm not talking about the Shia. I'm just talking about she is a human being that had by Shias.
Raj, understanding. You completely ignored what I said earlier.
I know, but
even if your argument was valid, for argument's sake, I like to cede territory to gain territory. We have this tactic. You can call it a Mughal tactic, yeah? Yeah? Not the taqiyya is not. Okay, by the way, let me clarify something about taqiyya. Okay. Okay, Raj, can you now be educated on this and put this idea to rest forever, once and for all? We, the Sunnis, okay, do not believe in taqiyya. We don't believe in taqiyya. Taqiyya, the way the Shias believe in it. For example, what is taqiyya? Taqiyya is deliberately lying to hide the truth, to avoid trouble. That's what taqiyya. To put it in very simple terms. We, the Sunnis, we do not believe it. We believe it's cowardice. We believe it's cowardice. If you study the history of our Imams, some of them were tortured for years by the kings and they didn't do taqiyya. Okay? Okay, so taqiyya is something which is done under. For example, if someone is about to be killed and the life is threatened and someone is asked, for example, to say something insulting to the Prophet or the Quran, to Allah, so that you can save your lives. Like what you know what's happening in India. Hindu mobs are catching Muslim men and women and they are beating them and asking them to say Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram. Yeah? If you don't say, you'll die. So some of these Muslim poor men, you know, who are surrounded by this mob of wolves and hyenas, they have to say this, right? To save their life. In this case, the Quran has reversed that if you have said a word of kufr, a word of disbelief to save your lives, there is no harm on you so long as there is iman in your heart. Okay, wait. Now, taqiyya is when there is no threat, no one is threatening you, no one is saying anything to you, you come and lie. And the Shias do this. We don't. The Shia are a minority sect in Islam. Okay, we as Muslims believe that it is a cult. It is not part of mainstream.
I do like my Shia brothers though, so shout out to the Shia brothers. No, I met them over there, they're good guys.
The Shias have their own view, and we have no problem. They have chosen to follow a particular path. We have no problem with that.
But I think Shias are, I don't want to get into this sect, but I think Shias are a bit more, they're more easy to talk to and easier to kind of like discuss about religion, and maybe they're a bit more kind of, I don't know, not so dogged in their approach. When I speak to Shias, I seem to get a different viewpoint. They're much more tolerant. That's just my view. And Sufis,
have you found me?
And Sufis, I love Sufis.
Have you found me bigoted?
Not you, but generally.
I'm Sunni.
I know, but it's 50-50.
I'm Sunni and I try my best to be as Sunni as possible. So don't use this red herrings.
Let me give you an analogy. Yeah? If you got a dog, yeah, I'm not comparing Muslims to dogs, but this is an analogy. You got a dog, and the dog.
No, don't give that. If you're not comparing, then I can use it. I'll use an analogy. You won't like it. You won't like it.
The reason I'm saying a dog is because they can be.
No, use a horse. Use a goat, something like that.
Me, man.
Okay. So or use a camel, something closer to Muslims.
I'm not saying I'm scared of a horse.
Okay, but don't.
If I let me just say, make my analogy.
But don't make it.
Have some courtesy.
Yeah, exactly. Have some courtesy. Me.
Yeah, brother.
He's using dog as an example.
You just don't like dogs in Islam.
If I use an analogy,
I love dogs.
If I compared you with dogs, how would you feel? If I did a comparison between you and dogs, how would you feel? You would say to me, have some courtesy.
I'm saying if you got a dog here and a dog, when you try and pet it, it bites you 50% of the time. Yeah, you're gonna be more kind of apprehensive about the dog. Now, if the dog licks you and it kind of protects you like 90% of the time, you're going to be more kind of appreciative of them. So when I meet Shias, I tend to have that reaction. When I meet Shias, it's 50-50.
You're saying the Shias are like dogs?
No, I'm saying Shias
dogs that lick you.
No, I'm saying Shias are much more...
You're insulting the Shia now.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Shias...
No. You could have used it as an example. If I talked about Sikhs and I said, there are pigs, they do this and they do that. I would never use an example like that. That's insulting.
Can I say something?
That's disgusting.
Can I say something? I love dogs, yeah. I got two stats.
You love dogs, we don't love dogs.
Muslims hate dogs, so your kind of perception
we don't hate dogs.
saying is different.
We don't hate dogs.
I can't say a horse bites me, can
we don't love them.
What do I say?
We don't love them. We don't hate them, but we don't love them.
I can't use a sheep. I can't use a pig. I can't use a thingy. I've got to use an animal that can bite. Parrots bite. Oh my, what is a parrot going to do?
Use a parrot. So try not to be... Try not to be provocative.
And the Sufis, yeah.
My friend, this is a discussion. This is a discussion. Have some courtesy.
Come on, brother, thank you.
So Raj, going back to our discussion. So coming back to our discussion on...
I didn't call Muslim dogs, you guys are great, man. I'm just using an analogy. analogy that this guy can't understand.
You're not helping yourself, Raj. Every week you come, you make yourself look bad. Calm down, man. Can you go back to your earlier mode, the friendly mode, the decent Raj mode, okay? And I know sometimes this comes out. Okay? I can get angry and I can come up with things that you understand. You will start cooking it, you know, you start smoking.
Do you know what?
Yeah. I don't want to do that.
I react at people.
I don't want to make Sikhs angry out there. I love the Sikh people. I want to reach out to them. I want them to know that there are Muslims out there who really love and respect you despite all the history. And I don't want to go to the history. Despite all the ugly history we have. Okay? I want to make sure that there is a good example of the Sikhs and the Muslims out there. And don't be a bad example for the Sikhs, please. Stop using dogs as an example.
But they call me Tommy Robbins saying and all that.
Forget them. Forget them. There are idiots out there calling me out.
Did you see that Darwatch and he had a 2-minute video of me? It made me look like some supervillain. Yeah? What do you want me to do? It's like, what is it music?
When you work with racist scumbags, when you work with racist scumbags like Tommy Robinson or EDL,
I don't agree with them all.
Yeah. You know, if they had the chance, they would shave your beard off and shave your head off as well. If they had the chance.
If they had the chance, that's why I don't agree with all.
They hate you as well.
I know, I don't agree with all.
Islamophobia is the new face of racism today. Islamophobia and racism is the same face or the two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin.
Be nice to each other for today, man. Let's be
civil. Yeah, let's go. So about epistemology. We were talking about epistemology, the theory of knowledge. How do we reach the truth
of the hadiths
and the Sikh tradition? Because the Muslim tradition, as a Muslim,
we don't have a claim that the hadiths are 100% accurate or certain things are 100%.
No. I'm saying the Sikh tradition doesn't. I mean, the standard you're using against me.
That's the standard you've set up.
No, we haven't.
You say to me something's perfect. I'm going to give an analogy to these guys.
Right, can I finish?
Can I just say one thing before we go so we can start?
Yeah.
I'm an artist, yeah? If I put a drawing up here and I just left it here, people will walk past and appreciate the drawing for what it is. Now, if I put the same drawing here and I said this drawing is perfect, what do you think would happen? People would come over and they would criticize the drawing. The problem about Muslims, you're making claims that things are perfect, and then you're upset when people are criticizing or finding flaws in it. So if you write
first of all, Raj, let me correct you. I never said the Muslim tradition is perfect. Number one,
is Al-Bukhari's hadith all perfect from Aisha?
They are all authentic. There is a difference between authentic and something imperfect can be authentic. Okay, so there's a distinction between authenticity and perfection. So you need to get your terms right. Second point I want to make is that I'm not getting upset. Do you think, you guys, let the viewers decide. Am I getting upset? Am I getting angry? No, I'm not. I'm very calm. Okay, I really came with my mind made up that if I come across Raj today, I'm going to request from Raj to have a proper discussion where I can talk and you can talk without interruption. So coming back to the Sikh tradition where it all started, when you actually scrutinize the Sikh tradition, the stories.
Sikhs, I'm actually a Sikh
Again, when I start talking about Sikhs, Raj wants to completely cut me off. Wait, Raj, man. Wait, Raj.
You take it and read real history. It's got my drawings in there. So.
Okay. Raj, little do you know, I have read sources on Sikhs you haven't read. I was last night, Raj, this morning actually, not preparing, out of interest. I'm always reading, okay? I mean, I have a book in my pocket here on Mughal history, the fall of the Mughal Empire. I'm reading on it all the time. It's the later Mughal period. So I'm always reading. So last night I was reading the Sikh history compiled by Macauliffe. Macauliffe was an English gentleman who had converted to Sikhism, and he wrote a sympathetic history of the Sikhs in 6 volumes, 5 or 6 volumes, published by Oxford University Press in the year 1909. And it is considered to be one of the most authoritative histories of Sikhs. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with this lady. I think she's making noise. Okay, so I've read these sources, Raj. Perhaps because when I talk to you, I realize that you haven't actually read about your own tradition. You don't know about it. Okay, a lot of these stories about the Guru's children being killed, or Guru Tegh Bahadur being killed, executed, and the miracle he performed, and he said, I have put this piece of paper in my neck, and when you will chop off my neck, you won't be able to chop it off. It will be a miracle. And Aurangzeb said, bring him to my court, and we will see the Guru do this miracle. And when they put the sword to his neck, right? His neck got chopped off. The Guru died. Okay, and when they opened the paper, the piece of paper, it was written on the piece of paper. Wait. Yes, I agree. Raj, let me finish. I'll tell you what I believe in and what I don't believe in. Okay, I know Guru Tegh Bahadur was definitely killed by the Mughals, no doubt. There is no. We don't play games. We will tell you exactly how it is. Okay, I don't believe the stories around his person when he was killed or before he was killed. The miracle, for example, that Aurangzeb Alamgir was there in his court. He was brought there in the court of Aurangzeb Alamgir, and then he was told to perform the miracle. And he said, I have this paper in my neck, you know, I'm wearing it. You won't be able to chop off my neck. So Aurangzeb said, okay, let's see the miracle. They struck his neck. His neck came off. He was let me finish very quickly. He was decapitated. Okay, and then they opened the paper. In the paper it was written that I have given my neck but not my face. Okay, you know, I'm translating it into English. Right? Now this story, it has so many problems with it. First of all, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb didn't have the time to deal with Guru Tegh Bahadur in this way, because what the Sikhs don't understand and realize is that at this period, early on in Sikh history, the Sikhs were a minor menace for the Muslims. In the Punjab region, for the Mughals, sorry, not the Muslims, the Mughals were the Muslims, right? The Mughals, Aurangzeb Alamgir had conquered 95% of India. He had bigger threats to deal with, such as the Marathas, the Rajputs, okay, who were actually real powers. These guys were huge, their military strength was huge, right? So Aurangzeb Alamgir was busy fighting them. 24 years of his life, Aurangzeb Alamgir spent in South India, in Aurangabad, okay? Because he couldn't move back to the north. He didn't come back to Delhi, the city of Delhi, because he couldn't come back because he was, so when the battles, I'm finishing right now. When the battles were happening between Guru Gobind Singh and his armies and the Mughals, Aurangzeb was down in south, over 1,000 miles away, having no idea what the hell is happening in Punjab. He had appointed his governors, and he would give them instructions to deal with problems as you deem fit. Suppress the rebellions, because the Sikhs were troubling the countryside. The Marathas were raiding in the south. Okay, so there were many problems. Aurangzeb didn't have the time to sit and watch Guru Tegh Bahadur being executed. So all of these stories have huge problems with them.
The whole dialogue. All right, so let me just say, I don't consider myself an expert on Sikh history or Sikh faith. I've only come back to my faith around 4 years ago.
So why are you talking about other faith? You're talking about Islam, the science of Hadith, Raj, and when we talk about Sikh religion, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. You know, this doesn't make sense. You are an expert in Islam on science of Hadith, but
I'm a hate preacher, racist, brown racist. I'm racist. I like it. All right, can I just say something? I can come to Speaker's Corner and talk and have free speech, and I can say whatever I want. Yeah, but
yes,
I want the basics.
I defend his freedom.
I want the basic Sikh team to come down here and have a conversation with Adnan. The thing is, you're diverting the conversation to something else. So let me put it back in.
How am I diverting?
We'll talk about the science of the Hadith. I'm saying,
Raj, you have no idea about your own religion, the Sikh religion. Self-confessedly, you confess that you don't know anything about Sikh religion. You want to talk about the science of Hadith.
I did not say that. I did not say that. I said I am not an expert.
He said 4 years.
Are you an expert in Islamic science of Hadith?
I'm asking you legitimate questions about the scientific reliability of the science of the Hadith.
So when I do a comparison between Sikh...
You can comparison, but what I'm saying to you, is that you're droning on about Sikh history. I'm not even to
This is the man who put the full version.
Ah, well done, guy. I love the beginning, man.
You like the beginning, yeah?
Scary.
Yeah, I got
You made me look like some super villain, man.
You are though.
I'll blame you if I get beaten up though.
No, he's not a villain.
That thing's too
I think Raj,
like a train
Raj is coming closer to us.
Ah, this guy's good.
Yeah, no.
I like him.
I believe the more Raj will talk to us, the more he will come close to Islam. Because we the Muslims, you see the Guru, the reason why I keep going back to Guru Nanak Ji is that Guru Nanak Ji is considered to be the founder of the Sikh religion, Guru Nanak Ji. Okay, he was a man who was born in a Hindu family from the Kashtri background. Okay, and he was born in the territory of Pakistan in the Punjab region. He was born in Pakistan, Guru Nanak Ji, and he was a strict monotheist. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
I didn't even talk for like
Just give me 1 minute.
That guy interrupted.
So Guru Nanak Ji,
you need to let me talk.
Yes,
dude.
Raj, you will.
Come on, do you want me to be
Can I finish my point?
Do you want me to be the abrasive Raj or the nice Raj? I got a split personality. I can throw hard
Can I finish?
and I can be very nice.
Can I finish my point?
How you treat me is how I treat you.
Can I finish my point?
Yeah, I'll be nice now.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you.
And let me talk for 15
Guru
minutes.
Nanak Ji, in clear words, said that Prophet Muhammad was a prophet of God. Guru Nanak Ji said that. And my request from the Sikh community is that if you are truly Sikhs, and I believe you are, okay, and if you truly love Guru Nanak Ji, and if you truly follow him, then Guru Nanak Ji said Prophet Muhammad was a prophet of God. And if Guru Nanak Ji is telling the truth, if he is right in what he is saying, then Sikh religion as we know it today cannot be from God, because Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet of God, as he himself said it. And Guru Nanak Ji said that he was a prophet. You see the contradiction? You see, if the Sikhs really want to follow Guru Nanak Ji, then they must follow Prophet Muhammad. Okay? If they don't want to follow Prophet
Muhammad,
Muhammad,
trying to convert my Sikh brother, it's never going to happen. Maybe one Sikh that's converted.
How do you know that?
Let me just say
there
something.
are people watching out there. They may be thinking.
Dude, let me just say something. For me, I've never contested any of this. I've said to you, even over there, I just said it, that I believe that Islam has a lot of truth in it. But I feel
you
that
Guru Nanak Ji said he was a prophet of God.
Yeah, I've even said that. I would never have not said it.
So
that's why I call him a prophet.
Let's talk about the implication.
Let me just say,
if Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God, what does that mean, Raj?
You need to let me talk, man. Do you want me to become schizophrenic?
Raj,
let me
we have
be
a
the nice
conversation?
one. I know, but you need to let me talk.
Can you respond to me as well?
But you're over talking me. I'm sitting here
like
a little sheep.
Please do talk. But I have a question. If Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God, what does that mean?
We believe, I believe, and I from the there is a lot of flaws in Islam, but we do believe that there's truth in it. Yeah, can you not understand that concept?
But Guru Nanak Ji didn't say that.
No, it doesn't matter what you think Guru Nanak did. He said.
What did he say? Let's talk about it.
That Islam, he said be a good Muslim, be a good Hindu.
Did he say Prophet Muhammad was the prophet of God?
He said Prophet Muhammad, he was prophet of God.
What does that mean? Let's talk about that statement. If Guru Nanak Ji said Prophet Muhammad is the prophet of God, what does that actually mean?
Hold on. But what did I say to you? I believe there was corruption, in the hadiths.
Who cares what you believe? Guru Nanak Ji is bigger than you, right?
But Guru Nanak has criticised Islam as well.
Not Islam, Muslim.
Yes, he did.
No.
He believes in reincarnation.
Guru Nanak
so he could not be a Muslim.
Guru Nanak. I'm not saying Guru Nanak Ji was Muslim.
No, but you're saying he's telling Sikhs
I am not saying Guru Nanak Ji was a Muslim.
But if his ultimate belief in reincarnation, is completely against Islam, why would he tell Sikhs to become Muslims?
You tell me, then why Guru Nanak Ji is saying he's a prophet of God when he himself is not following him?
I can believe that Muhammad was a prophet of God. I can believe Jesus was a prophet. I don't believe Jesus was a son of God like Muslims do. I believe he was a prophet.
No, we don't believe that. We don't believe he was a son of God.
But I don't either. I believe he's a prophet. So I can believe that, It doesn't mean that everything that Prophet Muhammad did or said, he was an infallible man to me.
Right.
He might have made mistakes. The hadiths, in my opinion, are factually incorrect in certain places and may have been altered for political reasons,
I understand.
So for